so today we are going to be recreating this eye here, and I've already done my foundation and my concealer and my brows. I'm not having a good brow day, let's just leave it at that. I did want to tell you what is on my lips. I'm wearing the Too Faced Melted Liquefied Longwear Lipstick in Melted Nude. It's kind of a warmy, beigey, tannish nude instead of a pinky nude or anything. And the eye look was inspired by, today is Super Bowl Sunday, so the eye look was inspired by the color blue because both teams had the blue, and also I'm wearing blue. And normally I don't get to do bright, colorful eye looks because I do my makeup and film before I go to the office. So since today is Super Bowl Sunday, I don't have to do that. I can wear something a little bit more dramatic. And I am wearing false lashes today. I definitely like to bring it when I can. It's been a long time since I've done something dramatic like this. So the first product I'm using is a Makeup Forever Artist Eyeshadow. This is the shade I218. It's a royal blue color. This is a Makeup Forever palette thing. It came in a big box from a couple of years ago, I think at Christmas time. And I'm using the Sigma E55 eye shading brush. It's just like a really dense, stiff brush. And I did prime my eye over here with the MAC Paint Pot and Painterly. So we're gonna do it today. Alright, so it also is not, 5 in the morning. So that's good too. So I'm just trying to be really neat. I do have my concealer here to touch up under my eyes and the corner of the eye. So I expect to have to do some cleanup afterwards, but I'm really just packing it on, just patting it, pushing it onto the lid. I'm not sweeping or swiping. The key to getting a really good color payoff, is to just keep going, keep layering. So that is what we're doing today. And actually, when I have my eye open, it's not like that crazy dramatic, you know what I mean? But like when you see it closed, my eye, it looks really dramatic. So I anticipate having to go back into each of the colors more than once and blending in between steps. So what I do is I have a different brush for each step and I set them aside. So I'm just going to pack that blue in, and then I'm going to set this brush aside. And I'm stopping at the crease, as you can see. But I'm not afraid to get some color here today. Alright, so I have a pretty good amount of pack of blue. Going into the Lorac Pro 2 palette, and there is one shade in here that we're going to be using called Navy. And I am using this BH Cosmetics brush. It is like a really firm little pointed brush that is super dense. And I like to use this to pinpoint exactly where I want things. It does no good for blending, honestly. But what I'm doing, these powders are very soft, so they always kick up a lot of dust. And to prevent any fallout from happening down on my cheeks, I blow the brush off a little. And also blow from my mouth up to my eyes, to try to eliminate some of that. So I'm just tapping that powder. Now obviously if you're doing someone else's makeup or you're using someone else's powders and brushes, you wouldn't blow on the brush, but it's my own and I'm going to wash it after this video. You think I'm going to be able to use this blue brush? It has to be washed after this. So I'm just packing that on the outer V, kind of in a triangle, and then I'm going to poke it into my crease. It sounds like it hurts, but it really doesn't. I'm just gently tapping, using the point into the crease, just to define it a little bit. So obviously this is not what the other eye looks like. The other eye has a lot more blending going on. The eyeshadow that I'm going to use for blending purposes is this one by MAC. It's called Idolize, and it's actually like a lavender with a lot of shimmer. For something like this, you definitely need to blend, and I didn't want to pull in any brown because I thought that would take away from the cool toneness. So I decided to try this, and I think it actually turned out pretty cool. So the brush I'm using is a Jessup tapered blending brush. And I'm just going right along the edges and softening them out. And like I said, I'm going to go back into each color, again. So that's okay that I'm covering up some of that crease shade. So I'm going to have to go back in and touch them all up. Same with the lid shade. Going back in and touching up each of the colors, starting with the lid, then the crease, then the blending shade, and then I'm going to take a clean blending brush before I do my brow bone in the inner corner, and I'm going to clean all of that up. Like, I have blue all the way up to my brow, so definitely need to clean that up before I'm done. For a little bit of interest, I'm taking the Too Faced Sugar Pop palette, and there's one shade in here called Sugared Violet, and it's violet, so you'd think it'd be purple, but I think it looks blue. So I'm just using an IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe No Tug Dual Eyeshadow Brush number 5 Smudge, and it is a really tiny brush, but I'm just going to tap this bluish color on top of that, the other blue on the lid. It just adds another layer of dimension. So if you ever feel like your eyes don't look dimensional, like it just looks like a streak of blue, you can add different shades in the same look. Like I did a really dark blue, a medium blue, you know, a light lavender, and it really just, different finishes like metallic, matte, slightly shimmery, that kind of stuff, really adds dimension to your eye look and doesn't make it look like you just took like a blue Sharpie and just drew a line on your eyelid. So that's how I create dimension. Now I'm going to go into the Makeup Forever eyeshadow in ME122. And you'll be able to tell it is like a chalky white, but it's shimmery too. So ME is that prefix for their metallic shades. So it is quite shimmery. I'm not quite silver, but it's definitely a cool toned white with quite a bit of a sheen. So I'm going to use that right underneath the brow. You mostly, when you're doing the shadow underneath your brows, you want to concentrate it here at the peak and then towards the tail, but mostly at the peak. So like, I don't usually put any all the way in the inner corner. You can, but you certainly don't have to do anything. And then I'm taking it right here in the inner corner of the eye. I have to admit, the first eye took me about a half hour, and the second eye is taking me about 10 minutes. I think that, you know, the first time you do this, it really takes a lot of, like, effort to try to figure out what it is you want and then, you know, perfect it. Now, this isn't perfect by any means, so what I'm doing is I'm taking a clean brush. This is just a regular old fluffy brush, and I am just going to clean up the edges even more. Just lighten up the area above my brow bone, above the crease, because I just didn't want it to be crazy looking. Like I said, this brush has no product on it. Going back into the crease shade. Now I have my Bare Minerals Bare Skin Concealer, Complete Coverage Serum Concealer in Light. So I'm going to use that. I'm just going to put a couple of dots around my eyes where I might want to clean up. And then I use a teeny tiny little brush. I use a teeny tiny little brush and like use it to tap around the areas to clean up the edges. So you can use your beauty blender for this as well, but I just like the control I get with this brush. So anywhere that you have a little bit of darkness that you don't want, anywhere that the eyeshadow has like kind of fallen and you need to clean up, you can use like this. Now I'm using a Tarte eye pencil. This is in the color Navy, and I'm going to do the tight line and the waterline. I'm also going to line my upper lash line, but what I'm going to do is make it really super thick, because as you can see I went over it with the black liner, liquid liner on top, but so I'm going to make it pretty thick. It may end up getting covered by the black liquid liner, but I think it just adds, like I said, another level of dimension. Now I'm using this NYX liquid black liner, and it is from the collection Noir. I have to touch up this because I tugged at my eye just a little and it made a fingerprint, so I have to fix that. Another thing I struggle with when I do these looks is my fingers get really dirty, and then I touch my face and then I have to do the concealer thing again. So that's why I haven't put the powder yet under my eyes. I have my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder sitting right here because that'll help set it all, but because I haven't yet, I can just keep adding a layer of concealer. So I'm going to use this to make a decent thick line, and I also did a little bit of a wing over here. It's not too dramatic because once you put lashes on, it kind of fades into the lashes, but it does add a level of drama. So this liquid liner is very glossy. I don't know if you can tell, but it like has a sheen to it, and also it's very wet. So what happens is when I blink, sometimes this liner that's still wet will get up into my crease and like make a line, mimic like mirroring what I had down below. So if you have like hooded eyes, or even not, like I don't have hooded eyes and it still happened to me, kind of try to keep your eyes like this a little bit until it finally dries, because I had a big problem with that. I had my eye look almost done. I did the liquid liner and then it made a black line in my crease, and I had to do a lot of fixing in order to make that better. So right now I'm just kind of hanging out, waiting for it to dry before I do anything else. My lower lash line is a hot mess, if you couldn't tell right now. So I'm gonna have to obviously address that. But let's let the liquid liner dry. I'm gonna do the concealer method thing again, take care of that. Now I'm going into my Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder on an e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush, and I am just going to set my under eye concealer and brighten all of that up. So I'm going to curl my lashes really quickly and apply some mascara. Since I'm going to be wearing false lashes, it really doesn't matter, but I am using the Makeup Forever Smoky Extravagant Mascara. I will be right back. Alright, before I forget to do the lower lash line, I am using the blue that we used on the lid, the bright blue Makeup Forever. I'm going right underneath the lash line. Then I'm going in with Idolize, that silvery color. And I'm going right on top of that and slightly below that. And that just really smokes it out a lot more. For lashes, I'm using the Ardell Glamour. These are the 113s, and they have a very thin lash band. I don't know if you can tell there. Very thin lash band. Makes them very easy to apply. So I'm using my House of Lashes eyelash adhesive. This is the black one, so the glue is black and it dries black, which I like. I may go over the lash band once I apply them with some of that black liner, but all I'm doing is taking this little brush and brushing on the band of lashes. And then I'm going to wait about 30 to 60 seconds, and then I will place them on my eyelash line. I think that I'm waiting for my lash glue to dry. I think that wearing false lashes makes dramatic looks more wearable, because right now my lashes are gone. They're like lost. My natural lashes have mascara on them, the same amount as I always put on them, but my eye just looks kind of crazy. But with the falsies, I feel like you can get away with more makeup because the lashes kind of hide it. Is that weird? I hope you know what I mean. But when it has been time to place the lashes on my eye, I use my fingers. I do have an entire tutorial on how to put on false lashes, but it's kind of old, so here it is now. I hold the lashes by both ends, and I kind of like put them in like a little bit of a curvy formation so that they're going to be very pliable when I go to place them on my lash line. I always measure them up against my eye before I attach any glue. Before I apply any glue, I always like hold the lashes up against my lash line and see if they look really long. Occasionally I do need to trim, but these ones I know I've worn lots of times. I wore them on my wedding day. They're my favorite lashes. I know I don't have to trim them. So now that the glue is ready, I hold both ends and I just apply them. I kind of like curve them, and I just set them there, and then I use my fingers to kind of like, I'll move them left to right or press them in, and once I've got them where I want them, I press. Now you can see like right here I don't have the inner corner pressed in, so I'm just going to kind of push it where I want it, and then I like hold my real lashes with the false lashes and like push them together, and then once I think I've got it, I fluff them all up. One thing that is really good about using a lash glue that has a brush is, I have a mirror here, is that if you don't feel like you got glue enough and they're not sticking enough, you can just dot a little bit more glue on there and that will help you. So now I'm waiting another 30 seconds before I press the lash pan there. Right on the inner corner, they were just kind of lifting a little bit too much, and so I wait, and then I push the lashes in. Just touching up that lower lash line liner. I'm going to apply some mascara to the lower lashes. The mascara on the lower lashes definitely makes my eyes look bigger. I'm going to apply a little bit of liquid liner on top of the lash band. So now it's just the cheeks. I'm going to zoom you out. I'm using the Marc Jacobs Mirage filter. This part is going to be super fast. This is number 40, the Instamarc. I'm using the brownish shade, and I'm using the e.l.f. Flawless Concealer brush again, and I am drawing in that line, that famous cheek contour line. I feel like when I wear a super dramatic eye, for one thing I try to wear a less dramatic lip usually, but also I try to make sure my brows are a little bit darker than normal because I tend to wear like blonde or taupe colored brow products, so the days that I have a super dramatic eye, I will go a little bit heavier on my brows, which is why my brows may look a little weird to you today, and I'm not loving it, but you know, I did a little bit of nose contouring just now with that same brush, a little bit right under the lower lip. Do you like that sound? And then I'm taking a little bit on the jawline here to recede double chins. Now I'm just using that same brush to blend it out. It's a smaller brush, but I'm just kind of like going around in circles, circular motions. For blush, I'm using this MAC mineralized blush in Warm Soul. It's like a peachy blush. I'm using the e.l.f. blush brush for a smaller brush. I have been using a really fluffy brush for my blush lately, and I just felt like my cheeks were a little out of control. I noticed in my videos, I'm like, whoa, I got blush everywhere. So this brush is a lot smaller, gives me a little bit more control, and that means my blush won't cover a large surface area, which is usually the goal. Sometimes I notice things when I'm watching the footage back that I didn't notice during the video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I had a hair in my face that entire video, or like my hair flyaways were crazy that video, which are things that have actually happened recently. So I try to make sure those didn't happen in the next videos. Now I'm using the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed. This is in Moonstone, the golden one, not opal. And for that, I'm using this dual fiber brush. I believe this is by Jessup. It's like a very fluffy brush. It's like a very light brush. You don't get a very streaky application. It's really hard to get a streaky application when the brush bristles are all different lengths and stuff. But you also don't get precision. So, you know, stiff brushes give you precision. Brushes like this with staggered brush lengths, hair lengths, don't give you precision, but they give you a more blended application. So take your pick. What's important to you on that step of your makeup? So I'm just applying that right at the top of the cheekbones and at the tail end of the brow. And then I'm taking it down the center of the nose and blending it out with my fingers so I don't get any harsh lines. A little bit here on the Cupid's bow. I'm rubbing it out with my finger again. Tiny bit on the chin, just like, you know, a little bit. I don't actually want to see any shimmer. And then I'm taking this color, putting it right under the brow bone, and then on the inner corner of the eye, kind of for cohesive look to tie it all together. I'm definitely going to set my face with a powder and then do a setting spray. So this is basically the finished look for a very dramatic blue eyeshadow look. I don't normally do this, false lashes, the whole shebang, but I thought on a weekend it would be a fun thing to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Hope you enjoy when I step out of my comfort zone and do something a little bit more dramatic here on my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.